I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league, we've won.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the first Plastic Scousers podcast of the 2017-18 season. My name is Matt Simpson, and this is my co-host, a man whose first day at his current job ended in a terrible flambe accident and an infestation of bandicoots in the office. It's Owen Collins!
Yes, thank you. A really annoying thing as well, Matt, before I welcome everyone back to the podcast, is I wasn't even making a flambe. I was trying to make a souffle. The souffle then caught fire, and I did what could be at best described as an adequate job of rescuing the situation, turning it into a flambe, but then unfortunately by accident the microwave exploded. I wasn't even using the microwave. You don't need a microwave to make either a flambe or a souffle. As for the bandicoots, I'm not sure how they got in, but they're still there and they are refusing to leave until their demands are met. So been quite a summer. Now, following on from a summer of also copious drinking and somewhat embarrassing internet videos, or certainly in our case, the football season has returned once again, and we here at the Plastic Scousers will offer our usual brand of insight and irreverence on all 5 games at the start of the 2017-18 season, as well as the extensive pre-season fixture list and the less than extensive transfer activity that took place over the holiday period.
Indeed, and as well as that, we begin our celebration of the Premier League's anniversary in our own unique style. We stick our necks out to make some bold predictions for the season ahead, and Owen takes part in a secret challenge. Woo!
Hey. Before all of that, let's delve into the fascinating world of pre-season, and it starts relatively close to home, in Tranmere.
Indeed, Owen, closer to home. So it starts very early. Pretty much we're one of the first teams to start. We've got a couple of games against Tranmere and Wigan Athletic.
Yeah, the now traditional sort of lower league away friendlies. Last year I think we played Huddersfield, Tranmere, Fleetwood and Wigan. This year we lost Huddersfield because they were sort of suddenly a Premier League side, and we gave Fleetwood the boot as well and just stuck with Tranmere and Wigan. 12th July, this first game. I think it was before they'd even broken up for the summer holidays at school. It's
no, it's crazy, really.
Mad, yeah, almost 2 months ago.
But I mean, not a couple of interesting things to talk about, but there's a lot to get through here in pre-season. So just it's a 4-0 win over Tranmere, and a slightly more frustrating 1-1 draw with Wigan.
The Tranmere game was kind of everything you would expect, really. For a side who are still scraping around in the National League or the Conference, as was. So that was kind of 4-0. You'd expect to win easily. We did win easily. Happy days. Wigan was a bit more frustrating, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the 4-0 win, interesting fact, Pedro Chiravella got himself on the score sheet. Unusually.
Yeah.
Ben Woodburn took a very confident penalty, which is such a nice surprise for a 17-year-old. I think there was a final goal in that match.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else scored.
I think James Milner scored a penalty in the first half.
Yes,
I believe Marco Grujic scored the second
Marco
or third?
Grujic. Yes, that's right. Yeah, he got the second goal.
Got the second, yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 just on sort of half time, didn't we? There are a few notable selections in the team though. Particularly, I think one we're most excited by there's a substitution in the second half. Loris Karius came off. Who came on?
Kamil Grabara,
I've always said it.
Young Polish goalkeeper.
I'm not sure. Yeah. We also saw a return to the Liverpool side for Lazar Markovic.
We did, yeah. That is true.
That's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few weird ones we'll mention when we come to our transfer activity. Speaking of transfer activity, so a couple of players we did bring in. Of course, we'll have to mention them again later on, but most notably, the new signing of our new number 11, Mohammad Salah, who actually scored in his unprofessional debut against Wigan.
Yes. Which is always nice when they get off the mark straight away, even if it's only against Wigan. Before we move on from Tranmere as well, you mentioned sort of transfer activity. Tranmere also saw the last ever appearance in a Liverpool shirt of Lucas. Again, not one to go down in history books, but when they look at his technically final game in a Liverpool shirt, unless someone gets a testimonial in the next couple of years, which is probably unlikely, he was probably the last one who could get a testimonial. And he didn't, which I think is a disgrace, as I've probably noted before. So he was off.
He was.
But yes, in a more forward-looking bit of news, Mohamed Salah. Very encouraging debut, one of the kind of bright spots of quite a underwhelming fixture, really, wasn't it, for the DW?
Yeah, went behind early on, pulled it back to 1-1, but, as a fitness test is, results aren't all important.
No. Results only matter in pre-season when you're playing for some silverware.
Yes, which we then went and did.
Yes, because it was over to Asia after that, for a long old schlep, in the Premier League Asia Trophy, which we last played in 10 years ago, in 2007, where we got to the final and lost on penalties to David James's Portsmouth. It is a result that still haunts me to this day. As you well know, it is up there with the International Champions Cup final of 2014 and the unsuccessful campaign in the Port of Rotterdam tournament, also in the summer of 2007.
Yes.
Where again we lost in the final.
But enough about those tournaments, and on to this one. And we are against Crystal Palace in the first game, the semi-final, I guess you could call it.
Yes, because why wouldn't Liverpool play Crystal Palace in Hong Kong in July?
I can't think of any unreasonable reasons.
As Bill Shankly once said, some people think football is a matter of life and death. I'm very disappointed in that attitude. Football is Liverpool playing a team from South London in Hong Kong.
Of course it is.
On a Wednesday afternoon in July.
Exactly.
But we won.
We did. We saw another new signing, in fact, bagging quite a great little goal. Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, who, I think when we signed him, everyone was sort of, I don't know, a few eyebrows went up. A lot of people thought he might be one for the future, a bit like Marko Grujic was, you know what I mean? Not one to kind of come into the first team straight away, but one to sort of, start off in the cup games for a few months and then see where we are in a year or so. But actually, he really announced himself with his performance.
He did. It was him and Origi scored the goals in a ultimately 2-0 win. But it's interesting to see how Origi had fought throughout this preseason, but even here he'd fallen down the pecking order behind him. Yeah,
he's kind of, because that place in the team that Solanke's come in is that kind of impact sub kind of role of the young upcoming striker who won't be the first name on your team sheet, but is really going to develop into something quite good, and that's sort of Origi was given when he arrived at the club, and then 2 years later, and he's still not quite. You're not sure what. I mean, I like him, but you're not sure what Divock Origi is for, because he's been there long enough that he's no longer a kind of secret weapon young player. But he's also not really kind of your first name on the team sheet.
No,
no one's really
weird,
sure what role he's playing at the club anymore. Yeah. And like I say, that role he originally came in to fill, he's now kind of grown out of, but he's not grown into anything. And now Solanke's filled where he was, so he can't even go back to that. So, yeah.
It's weird.
Which is a shame, because I like Divock Origi.
Yeah, of course.
And actually, the kind of latter half of the 2015-16 season, he looked like he might be our best striker.
Well, either way, I mean, we can talk about this a bit later on, but I also wanted to mention the fact that we'd announced our third kit the night before this. Now, this is a slightly controversial issue.
Yeah. Bit This was an attempt to lure Netherlands central defender Virgil van Dijk to the club by convincing him that actually he was about to take part in a really prolonged international break and was just going to play for Holland for a year instead of Southampton. Well, that was my take on it. I'm not sure. What were your thoughts on the orange?
I think we see a slightly unusual business decision in the fact that the bright green/yellow kit from last year sold well, and so they decided to pick up their highlighter pack and take the next one out.
Yeah, we said this before, didn't we? That we're just going through the highlighter pack. But what does that leave us for next year?
We haven't
fluorescent pink or neon blue.
We'll never ever have blue. That just isn't a thing that's going to happen. So pink is probably
anyway.
Pink is probably the next option, or purple maybe.
I mean, it's funny that we wouldn't have. Well, I would say we wouldn't have pink because it's too close to red, and when would you wear a pink shirt when you couldn't wear a red one?
Less close than orange.
But then exactly. Like we're wearing an orange kit. When are we going to wear that, other than a pre-season friendly against Crystal Palace? What team are we going to play where red and white won't do, but orange will?
This is a sort of the dilemma and the motivation that doesn't seem to be kit related come into play.
No, it's almost like it's not designed to be played in.
It's designed to sell.
Yeah, it's designed for a kind of exhibition match once a summer and then make a bit more money. And I would be very surprised if we wear that in any fixture.
Oh, I think we will.
When?
Well, it's not a case of when. There'll be a contract that means they have to play a certain number of games in it, so we will.
Yeah, you're right.
So, either way, it was... We won this game 2-0, and we're on to the final of the Asia Trophy, Owen. Yay!
World history repeats itself, up against another Premier League side that plays in blue. And I am delighted to say, and I actually was delighted, this made my weekend when this happened. We won the Premier League Asia Trophy for the first time in our history. Jurgen Klopp's first piece of silverware with the club. Indeed, basically every member of our squad's first piece of silverware with the club. Yeah, what a result.
I mean...
3-0?
2-1. What are you looking at?
Sorry, I was one ahead. I was looking at the next one down. I've got them in a list and I jumped ahead.
Well...
Let me do that again. What a result. 2-1.
Yes, that's indeed the correct score. Having gone behind, thanks to Islam Samani.
What a result that is.
Yeah, I mean 2-1. Gosh.
2-1.
To be fair.
2-1 over Leicester. What a time to be alive.
I know, right? In truth, Salah scored again, which was good. Got his eye for a goal already. And Coutinho scored an excellent goal as the winner. And you're right, we won a meaningless trophy, which I guess is a nice thing.
Well, of all the pre-season tournaments, it's good, and this isn't much of a qualification, but it's a little more prestigious than some of them. Do you know what I mean?
Personally, I think it's all much for muchness, but I'll let you have your moment.
It's been going for I'm no great sort of supporter of what it stands for. I think it's ridiculous, but it's been going for about 14 years. It's not like something like the Emirates Cup, which is just designed to get Arsenal a bit of money. I mean, I know it's a money-making thing still, but it's at least got a bit of, traditions have got to start somewhere.
Yeah, yes, very true. Maybe I'm being slightly too...
One day, Matt, once upon a time, the FA Cup was only 13 years old.
There's probably a few more teams.
And if we won that, we'd go, yeah. But, we're expanding.
So we travelled from Asia to slightly...
But we won it.
We did, and we took our trophy home. Well, not quite home, because we then travelled to Germany for what ended up being 3 matches. Firstly, Tigers Hertha Berlin. Quite frankly, we demolished them.
Yeah, in the beautiful surroundings of the Olympiastadion, host of the 1936 Olympic Games. Where they've still got bronze plaques affixed to the wall with all the winners' names on, notably the late great Jesse Owens, of course. Yeah, and in a stadium that once saw thousands of people saluting Adolf Hitler. We put in a dominant performance, which I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, neither do I.
Basically, getting back on track. It was to mark the 125th anniversary, not only of the formation of our club in 1892, but also their club in 1892. It was a kind of joint celebration, and like most joint celebrations, someone was always happier than the other. And yeah, we ran out 3-0 winners.
We did.
It was a really good performance.
We did, and Dominic Solanke scored again. Mohammad Salah also scored again. So, I mean, the summer signings are becoming good in pre-season. And also, Wijnaldum scored away for the first time since he joined an English club. It doesn't technically count, but I wanted to make a note of it anyway.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame it doesn't count. Hopefully it will spur him on to bigger and better things.
Like a goal away, a goal away really in Brighton or something.
A goal away anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as it counts as a fixture of professional football.
Yeah.
But it was a really enjoyable performance, and I thought this 3-0 demolition of a German team in Germany has been the best 3-0 demolition of a German team in Germany I can remember. Surely we won't see a 3-0 demolition of a German team in Germany of the likes of this again for many a generation. And then 3 days later, we travelled south to Munich.
Yeah, particularly when we're facing probably the best team in Germany.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, undisputably. Not only that, but we were playing in front of their home ground, in front of their home crowd, at their home ground, at one of the most impressive, but also therefore intimidating stadiums in Europe. And it was actually, I would call it the last great stadium of Europe we were yet to play in.
And anyway, as Owen precluded, we won this 3-0 as well.
Like, ridiculous. It's just I can't quite explain what happened. We should have had a few more, to be honest.
Yeah, we were very good. Bayern, who were maybe 2 weeks behind us in preparation, but still had, most of their first team players on show during the match. We just ran them ragged. Mane scored a great goal. Salah scored again. And then in the second half, Sturridge scored a delightful goal and immediately got himself injured.
Yeah, that was a kind of one low point. It really was a beautiful little chip, wasn't it?
It's a great goal. Like, it's the sort of thing you expect from him,
Yeah, it was, kind of Sturridge in his prime. It was confident, it was sassy, it was just that right little amount of swagger. But you could see as soon as the ball left his foot, something wasn't quite right, because it was clear it was going in, but he never looked ready to wheel away in celebration. He kind of followed up almost immediately, didn't he?
Grimaced as he hit it.
Yeah, something wasn't right immediately, and it's a shame because we got a glimpse. He'd only been on the pitch about 20 minutes, if that, 15. And we'd kind of got a glimpse of the Sturridge of old. The Sturridge that, actually, a fully fit Sturridge is a bloody good striker.
Oh, yeah.
God, we've missed him. And then we saw it for about 30 seconds. And then it was gone again. It was the smallest, briefest window in which to see a player in his prime. And then it was snatched from us again. Sort of heartbreaking, really.
Well, yeah, this is very true, and it was a very disappointing end to one of the pre-season games. We'll remember for a while, a bit like Barcelona last year, as a particular example. But what we forgot to mention, of course, was this is actually the second trophy we were competing in pre-season, because this was the Audi Cup.
Yes, as we're saying, one of the lesser prestigious tournaments of the pre-season world. It was started by Bayern Munich about 4 years ago. It's played every 2 years at their stadium. 4 teams from around Europe, one of which is always Bayern Munich. Duking it out for the Audi Cup, which is like a kind of tiny mini version of the UEFA Cup trophy, I suppose.
No, but we were, glad to be invited, glad to take the opportunity to beat Bayern in their own tournament and get to the final to play Atletico Madrid.
Well, yeah, not only beating them, but actually coming up against them was so important. It really kind of, reaffirmed our sort of returning status as one of the big boys of Europe. And I think the contrast between sort of playing someone like Bayern Munich in a friendly and playing someone like Valerenga, or with all due respect to them, Celtic, it's a status thing as much as anything else. And it wasn't really about whether we won it or not. Although, again, once we got to the final, I really, 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 really bloody wanted to win it. And we didn't. No,
it was I think this is one of probably the most stern test we can face in Europe in terms of a team who play completely antithetically to anything we enjoy playing against. Atletico Madrid are the most organised team in Europe.
Yeah. But it was kind of frustrating that last season, one of the key problems we had was that if a team just kind of was really defensively organised, we had nothing. And all they would need to do was either just park the bus or get an early goal and then park the bus, and we just couldn't find a way through. And that seemed to still be the case in August. Like, we hadn't really taken any steps to address that.
No, I mean, this was, to be fair, the second game in 2 days. And we had played a slightly weakened team out, so maybe that's not fair to judge. And of course, Atletico Madrid, as I said, they are the masters of this. They've got themselves to Champions League finals doing exactly this. We still, took a 1-1 draw to penalties through Bobby Firmino penalty. And unfortunately, we just came up short in the final. Who scored? I think it was. Well, we missed one penalty, I believe, but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson.
Oh, of course.
Just didn't put much power on it, and yeah, it's a shame. Because I'm like, what's really annoying for both of us is that I'm going to spend the next 10 years banging on about this now.
Ugh.
This is the new Portsmouth, Matt. This is the new Asia Cup 2007. This is the new Port of Rotterdam tournament. The new International Champions Cup. Why can't we just bloody win a pre-season trophy and get it over with?
We did.
I know, but then we went and lost another one.
What do you want in life? You want a trophy?
I want us to win. I want us to win trophies, Matt. I want us to win every competition we enter. Particularly if to win, we only have to win 2 games.
I don't disagree, but...
You know what a privilege that is? How many competitions are there where you just have to win 2 games and you're champions?
That's a very good point, actually. I can't really argue with that.
We were so close. We were so close.
But, however, we didn't win. And I'm going to move this on very quickly because we're finally actually going to get to the meat and two veg of the of the season. And we
That's one way to put it.
Yep, exactly. We had one more tie a few days later before the start of the season against Athletic Bilbao in, was it Dublin we were playing in?
Yeah, in what is becoming a sort of semi-regular trip across the Irish Sea to the Aviva Stadium. We lost there to Celtic in a match that kind of got called the Dublin Decider for no apparent reason in the summer of 2013. We then went back about 10 months later for a post-season friendly against Shamrock Rovers, where we won 4-1 with a goal from Jack Dunn, who finally left the club this pre-season after about 3 years of going out on loan to various underwhelming locations. Yeah, and then we were back this year to play Atletico Bilbao.
And it went pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah, it was a nice way to get over the disappointment of losing the Audi Cup final 3 days earlier. A 3-1 win.
Salah scored his 4th of pre-season, which was not bad. Not a bad record to have. Solanke scored again. 3 goals for him in pre-season, so he is very much overtaken Origi now as a sort of third choice striker. Sort of choice direct central striker anyway. And Ben Woodburn scored a belter, picking the ball up in the edge of the box, turning a defender and slamming one home excellently. That boy's got skills.
Which is good because Ben Woodburn was a big find of last summer, and so it's nice to see him kind of coming on, finding that consistency and still having a place in the team.
Absolutely.
Like someone like Ovi Ajaria, for instance, we didn't see much of this pre-season. He's kind of not kicked on like Ben Woodburn has, so... Yeah, a really encouraging way to ending on a real high note.
Exactly. Before the season starts, let's have a quick chat on the transfers that had happened before the window closed. let's just quickly give our opinions on what do you think of Mo Salah then as a signing.
I don't think you can question him at all. I think you've got to look at him. You've got to look at his performance in pre-season, and actually think that's just a great buy. That is just a fantastic buy. We paid quite a lot of money for him, but actually in the current climate, we got him as a real bargain. I think.
I think so. Yeah, he certainly. I think he's certainly going to cause huge amounts of problems for an offence with Mane and Salah in it. I mean, if you play anywhere in front of your 18-yard box, you're in trouble because you just have to put one ball over the top of the defence, and they're getting there before you.
I mean, the pace. We had quite a pacey attack anyway, but it's terrifying. It's terrifying how much pace we've got in our attack.
And even if one gets injured or suspended or anything like that, the other one can come in and do it by themselves as well. So,
what about Dominic Solanke, another quite early signing for us?
Very much so. Now what's interesting about Dominic Solanke is it's a name that I think most Premier League fans had heard but not really knew much about. Knew that it was a bit of a Chelsea prodigy. Lots to talk about him. But what woke the world up to him was his performance at England's World Cup winning Under-20 World Championship. He was not only did he get himself a few goals and assists, he was voted player of the tournament in a competition where England won their second ever World Cup at any level whatsoever in the entire history. He was voted the best player of the tournament. Now that says something about his ability and his character, I'm sure.
Yeah, very much so. We should also point out Shea Ojo was in that squad, as was was it Ovie Ejaria?
It was Ovie Ejaria.
Yeah, who didn't make quite as much of an impact as Dominic Solanke, but yeah, like you say, this was a player that a lot of clubs had an eye on, not just in England but across Europe. I think it was actually we didn't quite realise at the time we signed him just what a coup it had been to get him to Liverpool. And not only to get him to Liverpool, but to get him from Chelsea.
But don't forget, this is also basically for nothing, because it goes to a tribunal, and the fee was going to be about 3 million. I think they're trying to ask for 6, but for a striker who seems to be able to guarantee you goals, it's nothing.
Mate, give him 6, because 6 is still an absolute steal. Like, what do you get for £6 million these days? That wouldn't even buy you Kevin Stewart.
No.
It's like, even if we end up paying like 8 million, that's for a player, for what he will bring to us, and hopefully he will live up to expectation, because he won't become the next Divock Origi, and in 2 years' time he'll be kind of being replaced by someone else. That's a bargain, and as I say, it's not just the fact that we've got him, it's the fact Chelsea don't have him anymore, which is very satisfying.
Absolutely, I think there's a lot of hope for this guy for the next few years. And one issue that's always been plaguing our club ever since maybe even John Alarisa left was the left back slot. Of course, last year James Milner had to fill it in for most of the season due to the unnerving performances of Alberto Moreno, who has never really convinced in that position. And it seems like we've gone and tried to do something about it with the signing of Hull City's Andrew Robertson. Yeah,
hardly a marquee signing, hardly a glamour signing, but actually probably a really good bit of business. He's a player with enormous potential. It seems strange to be taking when you say, we've got a really bad defence, what should we do? Let's sign a defender from a team that just got relegated. But actually he was one of the real bright spots for Hull in a campaign that was pretty short on bright spots last season. And so I actually think this was almost a signing I was most excited by.
Well, I wouldn't say I was the most excited by it, but I think it's maybe one of the most astute and could be one of the most important.
Yeah. I just hope he doesn't become another Charlie Adam. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is it. I mean, the best Liverpool sides have always been built on a certain Scottish contingent. Alan Hansen, Kenny Dalglish. I'm sure there's others. My brain has just stopped thinking.
Graham Souness. Ian St John, I think, was Scottish.
Yeah, Ian St John was Scottish. Absolutely.
Ian Callahan.
Either way, there's always been a base of Scottish players at Liverpool.
Bill Shankly.
Bill Shankly, of course, another one. So it's very much we've not had a Scottish player since Danny Wilson, and no one really wants to remember that. And
yeah, Danny Wilson wasn't exactly one of the great Scots to play for us, was he?
No. Whereas Andy Robertson, he seems like he's got the temperament, he's got the talent, needs a bit of time to adjust. Certainly, he's still a young lad, only 22, I think. So yeah, bright future, I think.
Yeah, and hopefully we will be part of that bright future.
So that was it before the start of the season, for sure. There were a few players who left the club permanently. I know you were sad to see Alex Manning retire, Owen.
I was. I still maintain it's a disgrace that he didn't get at least 10 minutes between the sticks against Burton Albion last autumn. I don't know why we signed him, really. He apparently was kind of good, to have around training, good to pass on his experience, but I'm not sure that, by the way they played, Mignolet or Karius really didn't do much from him. So I would have liked to see him get a game. But hey, too late now.
Right.
We will have to wait for someone else to be the first Austrian to ever play for Liverpool.
Absolutely. We also lost very shortly after a man who very much disappeared after making quite a big impact a few seasons ago. Managed to win a league title last year, but now is playing at Derby, so things can change. Andre Wisdom.
Andre Wisdom, who again I really thought was going to be not the next big thing, but the next kind of relatively large thing. When he came through under Brendan Rodgers in the 12-13 season, he really did look like the finished product, or close to. He really did look like he had a decent future in the first team, where a lot of young players come through and look promising but don't quite make it. I thought he was going to be one of the few who would make it, but he didn't. No. He kind of, for that first half of that season, he really kind of, I don't know, there was a game against Man United and a game against Everton where he was just an absolute boss, and of course who can forget his goal scoring debut against Young Boys. But it just proved to be, he never quite kicked on like he should have done. I have a slight worry that we're going to see the same thing happen with Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I felt the same kind of thing about him that I do about Trent, in that actually we could have a kind of homegrown defender come through at last and really become a first team regular, and it's so hard to do. It's so hard to do, not just because of the talent you need, but you need that little bit extra to convince your manager not to just go out and buy someone in the January transfer window.
I don't believe those two are comparable. I understand what you mean, but I think Trent's got a much better chance, personally.
I don't know. I think they're very comparable. I really thought Andre Wisdom would be. I think I've even made a bet with you actually that he would end up playing for England one day.
I like how you reminded me of a bet you're going to lose.
I'm not necessarily going to lose it. I mean, look at Ricky Lambert.
True.
I probably am going to lose it, but you never know. Although, it was just a few loan moves that didn't work out, and once you're kind of on the back foot, it's so hard to get back on the front foot with new young players coming through all the time. He actually won the league last season, though, at Red Bull Salzburg, so there's a bit of a shame he didn't go back to them and kind of carry on where he left off. But yeah, good luck to him at Derby. I think he's a good lad. I hope his career does nice things for him.
Well,
and one day he'll play for England.
And the player you've already briefly mentioned, but let's talk. We spoke quite a long time talking about him in the last podcast, so let's not dwell too much. But Lucas Leiva finally left the club after 10 years.
Yeah. As you say, we talked about it a lot in the last podcast. A real shame to see him go. Wasn't always the most competent of players, but always one of the most committed. And his heart always did what his feet couldn't. No, he was a rare thing, was Lucas. I can't think of another player that will be playing for us for 10 years. I'm not sure I can see Jordan Henderson lasting another 4 years. So yeah, I almost feel like he was the last in a long line was Lucas. Actually, he was the last player to rack up a decade with the club. I'd be very surprised if we see someone else do it.
Oh, I don't. I think that's a bit much. I think we'll find other players doing it in the future. Not for a few years, certainly, but I can see it happening.
I don't think football works that way anymore. I think we're kind of in a sort of version of a game now where players just don't. I don't know. I just don't think players stay at the same club for 10 years anymore.
Would you be willing to bet? Would you be willing to bet with me that it would never happen again?
Well, I don't know if that's a bet we can see through to the end unless we live forever. But
would you be confident? That would be the case?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's the case at all.
Who will it be then? Do you think it will be someone already at the club?
Yeah.
If it's going to come through and
someone like
who?
Someone like Trent, for example. If it works out better for him and it did for Wisdom, then Trent establishes himself as a right back for a few years, maybe moves into midfield where people want him. If he becomes the player maybe he could become, he could be there. It could be he never wants to leave Liverpool, is what he said, and as long as he keeps performing as he has done, there's no reason for him to go.
No, but no one really wants to leave Liverpool unless you're either a bit of a knobhead or a small Brazilian, who we will come to in a moment. But I don't know. I don't think Trent will be there 10 years. I'd love him to be. I'd love him to be there 20. I'd love him to break Ian Callaghan's all-time appearances record, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I will prefer to remain less cynical. Another player, in fact, a Liverpool fan who left the club. You mentioned him before that for £5 million doesn't get you Kevin Stewart, but £8 million does, and that's what Hull City paid for him.
Yeah. It was time for him to go. He kind of tread water a bit last year. I don't know, I was never fully convinced by him from the Exeter game onwards, really. And also, he's old. Like, he's older than Jan. Like, everyone keeps talking about him like he's kind of one of the academy lads, like kind of Ajaria and stuff like that, but he's actually like 24, nearly 25. He needs to kind of get his career going. A place like Hull would be a good place for him. Yeah, it was time for him to go. I think that's a good bit of business for everyone.
I think so too. Sad to see him go, but yeah, absolutely right. And there are before the start of the season, a few loan players went out. I'm not gonna dwell on them too much. Pedro Chiravella, Conor Randall, Shamal George, famously played up front once, and Taiwo Awoniyi all went out before the start of the season. Any thoughts on any of those, Owen?
Yes, Chiravella, I think maybe deserved a bit more of a look in after a decent start to pre-season, but probably won't make for grade at Liverpool, and I don't know where he'd have got game time this year. Conor Randall, I think I would have, in all fairness to him, I would have preferred a permanent deal, but I hope he manages to kind of put himself in the shop window at Hearts and really find his level, which he seems to be doing quite well. Taiwo Awoniyi, I do still hope to see play for Liverpool one day because I think he has actually got a bit of talent. It's just weird that we've never even seen him in a pre-season game yet. Shamal George, Carlisle United have signed a great centre forward.
There you go. Taiwo Awoniyi is an interesting one in the respect that we don't really know anything about him, truth be told. But there we go.
I know that he's got a street named after him in Nigeria.
There we go.
There we go. That's all I know about him.
So for now, anyway. Do you know what? Let's move on from this. Should we actually talk about the football proper now, Owen?
Yeah, why not?
The season starts officially on the 12th of August, Saturday, 12:30, the second game of the Premier League season, and we go and visit a place that has given us some interesting memories over the last few years, Watford.
Watford, yeah, down to Vicarage Road. Never nice to start an away trip. You always want to kind of start in front of your own fans, but we can't choose the hand we're dealt. And it was a chance for revenge on Marco Silva, whom we'd come up against only once before, when he managed to convince a pretty poor Hull City side to absolutely hump us back in January. In I think what was his first game in charge of Hull. So chance for revenge. Didn't quite go to plan.
No, well, of course, the scene where last year Emre Can scored one of the greatest goals a Liverpool player has ever scored. And and then which was in a game that had nothing else but that. He started in this game in a lineup that included a man we've mentioned, Trent Alexander-Arnold, starts at right back due to an injury to Nathaniel Klein. Alberto Moreno gets the nod at left back over our new signing, or indeed James Milner. Interesting to see that his pre-season seems to have given him a bit of a positive spin, and it seems to be at the moment he is the number one choice at left back at the moment, which is a bit of a surprise. To many of us.
We should point out now actually that he had a really good game in Bayern Munich in pre-season, like a really good game. It was weird.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, and he did start to some eyebrow raising. But the front three of Mane, Salah, and Firmino were in full force. Coutinho was out with an injury, a transfer-related injury, and midfield of Wijnaldum, Chan, and Hendo pretty solid. Except it wasn't to begin with, anyway.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't take long to go behind.
Yeah, it very quickly became like watching Liverpool last season, didn't it?
Yeah, a poor start. Watford on the front foot. Within 8 minutes, their number 33 striker Stefano Akaka buries a header from a I think it's a corner. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
No, I know it's a
this
delivery.
was quite a long time ago as well.
Either way, and for the first sort of half an hour of this game, we're terrible and we're deservedly behind. And all the hard work just seems to have fallen down the drain a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of that classic. Yeah, you can do it against Tranmere Rovers, and you can do it against Bayern Munich when it's not counting for anything except the Audi Cup. But when it does actually matter, we managed to bottle it.
Yeah,
that seemed to be the way it was going.
This whole first half was terrible. There's only one real moment of quality, and it actually led to us equalising in the half-hour mark. Some wonderful plays on the edge of the box, great little ball from Emre Can, and you need to give Sadio Mane one opportunity in front of the goalkeeper, and there's only one outcome, really.
Gets past Aurelio Gomez. First goal of the season. Always an honour. It was a short-lived celebration, was it not?
So 3 minutes later, some horrific defending at the back, as to be expected by now, and Decore retakes the lead for Watford.
Yeah. And you did kind of... This was a point where you thought the transfer window had opened 6 weeks before this game. Why were we still having Dale and Lovren in our starting lineup? Like, it was just, you kind of got that familiar sinking feeling of, we've learnt nothing.
That's how it felt.
Yeah, that is how it felt.
Yeah.
But second half was better.
Well, the second half, we came out firing again, like we should have done in the first half. As usual, the curse of us seemingly underestimating our opponents hits us. But we're much better in the second half. We win a penalty 10 minutes after half-time, which Roberto Firmino dispatches with no James Milner on the pitch. So he seems to be our default penalty taker at the moment for 2-2. And then a couple of minutes later, with Watford all over the place at the back, well, I don't know quite how to describe this goal. Firmino's clear in on goal, and he chips the keeper. Whether it's going in or not, I'm not 100% sure, but hasn't quite got the pace on it. Mohammad Salah basically taps it in from a yard out, having sprinted all the way to catch it.
Yeah, there was a man who really wanted to get off the mark with Liverpool.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair,
he scored 4 goals in pre-season.
He's left an open goal, with a yard out, because Firmino's shot's a bit weak, but it turns into one of the weirdest, brilliant crosses you've seen.
It seems like he's got the winner on his debut. His first goal for the club, officially, of course, after a very prolific pre-season. And it seemed to be, a great return to the season. Yeah. And then...
and then what gets us? What always gets us? A corner gets us.
Yeah. The seasons change, the kit changes, some of the faces change, but same old story.
Ball comes in, Wijnaldum should be clearing it. It sort of falls through his legs, should get rid of it, doesn't. Punks back up, and their centre-back Miguel Bretos is there with the header, which hits the post, hits the goalie, not quite sure what happened. But either way, it's over the line, and we've thrown away 2 points.
Yeah. We're immediately just kind of on the back foot for the season. It could have been top of the league. Weren't top of the league. Hard to come away with anything other than disappointment with that.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, the only thing you can say is great going forward, terrible at the back. But you can say that about Liverpool since 2010, no, 2012 maybe. Do you know what I mean?
2001.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a disappointing result on opening day, because you want the optimism. There's so much optimism and belief on opening day and hope on the opening day of the season. Even if you like Brighton, you might think actually we could surprise everyone. Like, there's always a reason to be optimistic on opening day, and ours lasted until, well, ours didn't even make it to 3:00 Saturday afternoon.
No.
Before we were just like, yeah, this is Liverpool, just there.
Yeah, exactly. However, we didn't have long to dwell on it, because about 3 days later, Liverpool's potential return to the Champions League begins in earnest, away at Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim in the Rhein-Neckar Arena.
Indeed.
As a club we'd never come up against before. Actually, it was a new chapter in the annals of Liverpool's rich and varied oppositions. It was a return home for Roberto Firmino.
It was indeed.
And it was all, I was going to say, it was a largely unchanged lineup.
It was exactly the same, 18.
Which meant still no Andrew Robertson.
No, unusually, despite the fact he's been there for 2 games. And, of course, Hoffenheim, under the stewardship of the young scallywag / arrogant arse, Julian Nagelsmann, who is making waves in Germany in almost the way Mourinho did at Porto, dragging his very young side further forward than maybe they should be. I'm pretty sure he's going to be Bayern Munich to coach next year, from what I've heard, which is going to be funny, because he was 28 when he took over Hoffenheim. He'll be 31 when he goes to Bayern Munich, and I'm pretty sure half their squad is older than that.
Yeah, I mean, James Milner's almost older than that.
James Milner is older than that.
Is he?
James Milner
is he 31 now?
James Milner's 31, Nagelsmann's 30.
Mental. Mad, that, isn't it?
So there we go. Either way, Hoffenheim were not a team for us to take lightly. They hadn't lost at home in about 15 months prior to us turning up. Very deadly, very dangerous on the attack. Great support. This wasn't going to be easy.
No, this was definitely one of the hardest teams we could have got drawn against in the playoff round. But actually, it didn't go too badly.
No, I mean, we had to do a sort of a typical away performance in many ways, as best we could with our limited defending capabilities. And actually, we did give away a penalty with about 20 minutes gone. But Mignolet pulls off his...
No, it was less than that.
Is it?
It was only 12 minutes, I think. It was really early on.
So we give away a penalty about 12 minutes gone. But Mignolet makes what is his 7th penalty save for Liverpool.
That's quite extraordinary for a keeper who doesn't get much credit.
No.
I mean, he doesn't get much credit because he's quite an unreliable keeper, but...
It's an excellent, it's a good save, keeps us in the game. And to be fair, we are struggling to contain them a little bit. Hoffenheim did have chances, but it's us who break the deadlock. And my word, did I jump out my seat when I saw this.
This was a first wonderful moment of the season. A first goal in Liverpool colours for the born and bred Scouser, 2/3 of a beast, and officially our highest ever scoring shirt number, Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
And by the way, don't think this is just a tap-in or a header. This is a 30-yard free kick that is absolutely perfect.
This is an absolute cannon. It was brilliant. Not like just unfazed, sort of intimidated, just bang.
You know, round the wall with pace, power, accuracy. Goalkeeper doesn't move, not a chance to get anywhere near it. For an 18-year-old kid under that much pressure, when they know how important this is, to grab an away goal in Europe like that, and to grab your first goal for your boyhood club that you grew up down the road from, don't forget. Special, very special indeed.
And as I say, our highest ever shirt number taking the mantle from.
We take a 1-0 lead into half-time, which, we certainly would have taken, start of the game. But we know it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah,
we know it's going to be a tough fight in the second half. We know they're going to come out. They're a good side, and they do create chances against us. But we managed to hold them at bay for a lot of it. They sort of start to run out of ideas. And then in the second half, substitute James Milner playing in midfield now, because apparently he's back in midfield again. I'm not quite sure why this is, but who am I to judge? Doesn't make it 2-0. I'm not quite sure how to describe what happened here.
No, it's it's technically not his goal, is it?
No, he's sort of swung a cross in, hasn't he? It's hard to tell it's not going in if he hasn't. It takes a touch off former West Ham midfielder Havard Nordtveit, and it technically goes down to his own goal. Basically, Milner's whipped in the free kick from the left hand side on his right foot. It's taken a nasty deflection and looped over the keeper. It goes down as an own goal, but it's a tricky one. But
I think this will sound daft, but if there hadn't been any players there, it would have gone in. I don't think it was a shot, but I think it was going in.
But the judges, I guess the football judges for adjudicating panel, what a great job that would be, by the way.
The dubious goals panel, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is in England. I don't know if UEFA have their own version of that. But
gave it as an own goal, but James Milner's not a man I imagine will particularly be worried. We're 2-0 away in the first leg in Europe.
Yeah, great result. 2-0, 2 away goals. Yeah, taking a 2-0 lead into the next leg. It all seemed a really good result. And then, Liverpool being Liverpool, something had to just put the tiniest of spanners in the works.
Soured the taste.
On the 87th minute, Mark, a slight over-salted the chip. Mark Ulf, how do you pronounce it?
Ut, yeah.
Mark Ut, who had only come on the 70th minute. I can't really remember his goal, to be honest. I just remember being really pissed off about it.
It drills it in just on the edge of the area. Sadly, Trent Alexander-Arnold is probably hit with him, and Joel Matip are possibly to blame for this. They're both out of position, dragged into the central area. It has so much space and time, and hits a great shot. I mean, goalkeeper's got no chance. Just sours the taste a bit, but having said that, I would have taken this result any day of the week at the start of the game.
Oh yeah, same. It's a away from home. It's a really good result against a side we thought were going to cause us a few problems. Not only have we got the lead, but we've got 2 away goals. So, it was a really valuable performance, and really satisfying to see Trent get his first goal for the club. Reasons to be cheerful.
Yeah, part 3, and so we move on to
part 3.
From one potentially very tricky tie to a tie that maybe shouldn't be as tricky as we've made it over the last few years, particularly at home. We're hosting Crystal Palace.
Yeah, a real bogey side over the last couple of years, but a side that's had a lot of transition over the last few seasons. And this was only their second Premier League game with their new manager, Frank de Boer. And obviously we'd already beaten them in pre-season it was exactly a month before.
Yeah, exactly.
We beat them on the 19th of July in Hong Kong, then we saw them again on the 19th of August at Anfield. And obviously a lot more riding on this. But not a vintage performance. We just mentioned the lineup. A couple of changes to this one actually. Dejan Lovren sat out for Ragnar Klavan to make his first start of the season. Joe Gomez came in at right back, which is always quite nice to see. Daniel Sturridge started in attack. James Milner started. And best of all, Andrew Robertson made his debut.
He did. And he was very, very good, I thought.
He was. Number 26, which was last worn by
Thiago Ilori.
A number steeped in history there, number 26. Maybe Andrew Robertson will be the new Thiago Ilori. Or maybe he won't be that shit.
Yeah.
No, I like Thiago Ilori. But anyway, yeah, what did you think of the game, Matt?
Oh, you haven't also mentioned the right back on the bench as well.
I haven't. No. My God. Yeah, John Flanagan's back in the squad. A player a lot of people thought would probably leave, at least on loan, if not for good. Leave the club this summer. But I think this was with 10 days left of the transfer window. I think the assumption was he still might, but he was in the squad, which more than anything else kind of points to the real paucity of our fullback options. As you said before, Klein was still injured. Trent Alexander-Arnold was given a bit of a rest after his midweek heroics. And that was it. That's everyone.
There we go. So yeah, Flano was back in the side. And I mean, this was a game we made very much hard work of. I mean, Crystal Palace, to be fair, very unfrank de Boer in terms of how they played. Very defensive, playing long, trying to catch us on the break. And we struggled to break them down, didn't we, really? Yeah,
we very nearly conceded a couple of times. To probably the worst person you would want to score against you when playing Crystal Palace, Christian Benteke.
Yeah.
Who, again, I don't dislike him, but it would just be, that's the sort of thing that would be typical Liverpool to concede. You know, it would always be Benteke that scored against us for Palace. It will always be Andy Carroll for West Ham. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Christian Benteke shouldn't miss this chance. Ruben Loftus-Cheek on, down the byline, plays it to him, 15 yards out, goal gaping, skies it. And actually, it was only a few minutes later in the second half, we make the breakthrough. A little bit of luck, bounces off a player. Dominic Solanke gets his foot in, who had come on in the second half. And Mane, but quickest to anticipate. And as I said before, you only need to give him one opportunity in front of goal, you'll score.
Yeah, like I say, makes a difference.
So that was pretty much it. There's not a huge amount else to discuss from this game. A very hard-fought 1-0 win that on another day, and certainly another season, we definitely wouldn't have won. So maybe that's a positive sign.
Yeah, I mean, that was our first win of the season. So, not a fixture that will live long in the memory.
No.
I mean, it probably will for Andrew Robertson, but, it wasn't a vintage performance. It wasn't a vintage result. It wasn't a particularly thrilling game, but it was our first win of the season, and it lifted us to 6th in the table. So we're already climbing back up there.
Not that particularly matters at this stage, but we'll go with it anyway. And don't forget, of course, this breaks the hoodoo of Crystal Palace winning at Anfield 3 seasons in a row, so that's also a nice thing too.
Yes, and it was our first official victory over Frank de Boer. And spoiler alert, it could be our last for quite a while.
Yeah, that depends on, many a factor. Again, didn't have long to soak up in the taste of victory, because we had another game to host a few days later. In fact, the second leg of that Hoffenheim European qualifying tie.
Yes, European football back at Anfield for the first time since 2016, which isn't actually that long ago now I think about it. But Champions League football back at Anfield for the first time since 2014, which does feel a long time ago. But of course, it was only a qualifier. We weren't quite over the line yet. But actually, very quickly, any kind of, let's just be cautious, lads, we haven't qualified for group stage yet, that kind of dissipated quite quickly, didn't it?
I mean, we had all the players back from I think it was the same for 11 that started the first leg, pretty much. And we came out we came out like a house on fire. Actually, before we do that, I want to bring something up. Because prior to this game, I've actually made a note of this here because I was so intrigued as to what had been said. Now, Hoffenheim had never been to Anfield before, and certainly none of these players, or indeed their manager, had. I just want to read you a couple of quotes that they gave the team prior to turning up. So where is it? The player, what's his name? Kerem Demirbay. Apologise for getting your name wrong. And Kevin Vogt. I'm so apologise for my terrible German pronunciation. They said about Liverpool, we definitely play the better football. We'll see in the end whether it will be enough, is what they said about us. We're good enough to survive there at Anfield and score at least 2 goals. Right? That's what their players are saying. Their manager said he's not in awe of Liverpool. He's not impressed by Anfield. People in German make it out to be more shocking than it should be. But I think people will be shocked when we get home. And we can deal with their fast attackers and deal with the Anfield crowd. Now, I think this is very much a case of when Villarreal took a 1-0 lead back to Anfield in the Europa League semi-final a few years ago. I don't think they knew what to expect. And Hoffenheim had no f***ing idea what to expect.
I'm going to put out there, I reckon that manager feels a little bit silly now.
I think he's a bit of a naive prick, to be honest with you, but there we go. Yeah, as soon as I read it, I just went, just you watch. Just you watch what happens if you try and pull that on the Liverpool faithful. This is what happens.
It so rarely works. I mean, it doesn't work on... What it is it winds the fans up, and the fans will just kind of push for players more, and then the players will get revenge. And so, I mean, how you could expect it to ever really... I don't know why you'd even say it. I don't know what...
Especially about one of the most famously noisy and influential crowds in Europe.
Yeah, on a European night, on a Champions League night for the first time in 3 years. I don't know what kind of mind game you're trying to play there, because it was only ever going to go one way.
Yeah.
And it started going that way within 10 minutes.
It was 1-0 in 10 and 3-0 in 20. Now tell me that you weren't. You think you play the better football.
Yeah. When they go home, they'll be shocked, by how quickly you capitulated.
Yeah. Playing as high a line as Hoffenheim did, we just thrived. They were basically stood on their own halfway line with Sadio Mane and Mohammad Salah just ready to run every time the ball was over the top. And with 3 at the back as well. It just beggars belief. Within 10 minutes, Emre Can had scored, slightly deflected, but it had been coming. 2-0, Mohamed Salah scores after some good work from, I can't remember if it's Mane. I think it's Mane hits the shot after some great work. Or Firmino maybe, can't remember. Either way, saved into Salah's path, and it's 2. And then my favourite of the goal of the first 3, Emre Can's second, his first ever professional brace, and his first ever brace for Liverpool as well, comes after some fantastic counter-attacking play down the left-hand side. Firmino whips the ball in with so much pace and power. Can at the end of it. Then there's Klopp running up the touchline, yelling to the crowd, "Das ist football," and I want a T-shirt with that now.
I didn't know he said that. I missed that.
Have you not seen it? It's amazing. It's like a meme that's gone around Twitter. He just yells "Das ist football" and points at it.
How have I missed that? That's fantastic. I'll have to look this out.
It sort of sums up Jurgen at his best, I think.
After that, we sort of took our foot off the gas a bit, didn't we? I
mean, you couldn't have kept the pace of the first 25 minutes was you couldn't have kept that up. And we did have to slow down a bit, and unfortunately our defence let us down once again, as this Mr. Ut, who's slowly becoming a bit of a thorn in our side, seemingly, does make it 3-1.
I mean, he hadn't even started the game. Harvard Nordfight, who obviously scored for us in the first leg, went off on the 24th minute, and so Ut had come on, and just when you thought, we can relax and really enjoy tonight, he gets an away goal, and nothing's quite guaranteed after that, but I mean, the longer the first half went on, it was clear that was a bit of a flash in the pan for them. We went in at half time 5-2 up on aggregate.
Yeah, and we looked very dangerous every time we went forward. And that included the second half, where maybe we didn't go quite as hell-bent for leather as the first half, but we certainly, every time
we didn't.
They were playing, trying to see if they could, to be fair, they were trying to see if they could get another goal or two. But every time we nicked the ball, it just looked like we were going to score again. And it took the hour mark for that to happen, but it did eventually. Some fantastic work from Jordan Henderson, who we haven't spoken too much about this month, but brilliant work to nick the ball in the middle of the park, bursts forward from about from the halfway line or just in front of it, and then very unselfishly plays it to Firmino for a tap in. It's 4-1, and this is game over.
Yeah, and it was fantastic because we were back in the Champions League proper. We were back where we belong.
Absolutely right. It didn't. Even a late conceded goal in the 80th minute didn't spoil our spirits.
No. What was it? 6-2 on aggregate. 6-3.
4-2 on the night.
4-2 on the night. Yeah, and as I say, Julian Nagelsmann probably feeling a little bit daft.
Well, he is only 30. He's just a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's 4 years older than me.
They don't know they're born.
He's 4 years older than me.
That's weird.
Yeah, right.
He's like the same age as my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's mad.
So there we go. But yeah, Champions League, man. Champions League. Yeah. I'd shout, but it's
Champions
now
League.
12:30, and my flatmates are asleep.
Yeah. Shall we talk about the draw? I can't remember if that happened before. That happened before the Arsenal game, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So it was potentially what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of dangerous teams in that draw.
Mm. Yeah, because we were third seed, weren't we?
We were third seed, so basically any of the big boys of Europe we could have come up against, with the exception of any from our own country. And even in the fourth pot, there are a few we were kind of rather have avoided, I think, if we could have. There are also some we've wanted for a few years, weren't there? Apoel Nicosia, probably the main one.
Karabag
of Azerbaijan, Maribor of Slovenia, or who was it? Or Red Bull Leipzig as well, actually, who we've not talked about.
No, they'll come up again in a moment.
Yeah, one of the sagas of the summer. We'll come to that, but yeah, in the end, it was actually a really good draw for us, wasn't it?
An excellent draw. We got the best team in Russia, Spartak Moscow. So we avoided all the winners from around Europe. You know, Real Madrid, Bayerns, etc. Juventuses. We got Sevilla, who we owe a bit of revenge to after their shaming of us, let's put it that way, in the Europa League final a few years ago. And one of the teams you just mentioned, Owen, in Maribor.
Maribor. I really wanted a team that we'd not played before, and that's what we got. It was great. I mean, it wasn't quite Karabag, but you know, beggars can't be choosers.
Especially with a good draw
and
like
it was
that.
great. Yeah. We kind of no complaints coming out of our draw. Yeah.
Pressure's on now, though.
So it was
Pressure's on now because we have to get out of that group.
Pressure's. Yeah, but there was actually a real positivity around the place, wasn't there? You know, we just got back in the Champions League for the first time in 3 years. We'd kind of got our first win of the season under our belt. We actually came to take on Arsenal in what can be described as very high spirits.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, Arsenal are obviously a very tough side.
At Anfield as well. Third game in a row at Anfield. Obviously, we've all got fond memories of playing Arsenal at Anfield over the last few years. And I think we both kind of felt that this could be another.
Quietly confident, for
or
sure.
I certainly did. You were a bit more cautious.
Yeah, I was a little bit more cautious. I was quietly confident, but, you know, Arsenal can always, you know, you never know which Arsenal are going to turn up, really. Big news from this, of course, involved the goalkeeper, Owen. A position I know you're very fond of, and this was a very confusing decision.
Yeah, for no apparent reason. Sam Mignolet was dropped or reshuffled. For this one, Loris Karius came in for his first appearance of the season. Mignolet didn't even make the bench, meaning it was the first appearance in the matchday squad for Danny Ward, who kind of Klopp said quite early on in pre-season that he wouldn't be going out on loan, that he wanted him around the club, but so far he hadn't shown much indication of using him. But it was on the bench today. Karius, as I say, first start of the season, chance to really kind of make a claim for the number 1 jersey. In the end, barely touched the ball.
No, he didn't really have much to do, did he?
No, I feel a bit sorry for him because he did kind of. He probably thought this was going to be a really good chance for him to impress, and actually, I mean, typical Karius, he just, you know, he never got a look in. Not because he just didn't stand a chance, but because Arsenal never really got into our box.
No.
It was one of the worst Arsenal performances I have seen in many a year, and there's been quite a few poor Arsenal performances down the years. It was, they were dreadful.
Yeah, and we made them pay for that time and time again. Starting on the 17th minute, well, it didn't. It started from about the second, but 17th minute. After 2 or 3 other missed chances, Joe Gomez whips a ball in, and Bobby Firmino once again he's there, gets his head on it, gets a few headed goals. Bobby Firmino actually, and puts us very deservedly in the lead. But then other chances came. We had many, could easily have been already 3 or 4 up by the end of the first half. It took until the 40th minute for Sadio Mane to get himself on the score sheet for the 3rd game running, and in fact scored in every Premier League game in August. It's 2-0, very deservedly, and quite frankly could easily have been more.
We should point out that actually he scored in every Premier League game that Liverpool played in August. He didn't score in every Premier League game in August. I think it was Arsenal-Leicester he didn't score in. Man United and Swansea, he wasn't on the marking. But in all of our Premier League games in August, he scored, yeah. So
is that meant to be a joke, Owen?
Still quite impressive. I'll leave that for the listeners to decide, Matt.
Or the guy editing.
I'm a Democrat.
Or the guy editing it.
I'm a man of the people.
Right, fine.
The people shall decide my fate.
To be fair, Mane's goal was excellent actually, because he's picked up the ball far on the left hand side after being given far too much space, cuts inside, whips a beautiful ball right into the bottom hand corner as well. Scored a few good goals this month, and that was another one. Half time 2-0, and I mean, you thought second half Arsenal can't be any worse, right?
Wrong. They were worse.
It was remarkable. I mean, I can't explain what on earth they were doing.
I mean, I'm delighted because, Arsene Wenger is not going to turn things around at that club. Whether they give him another year or another 10 years, they're only going to kind of continue doing this, kind of putting a decent run together and then just blowing it in an absolute shambles. I love playing Arsenal. I think we have got something Arsenal just can't deal with. They I don't know what they have the opposite of a bogey team. This is the 2nd season in a row we've put 4 goals past Arsenal in August. It's mouth-watering. It's wonderful. And the 3rd goal in particular was just a joy to watch.
I mean, who gives Salah the entire half of the pitch to run in? Who?
We said when we were talking about the signings, just the pace of Mo Salah is devastating. And there's a fantastic video, I don't know if you've seen it, of the 3rd goal from the view of the tunnel
right
at Anfield.
I think I have, yeah.
So you can only kind of see the fraction of a pitch that's directly in front of the tunnel. And there's, I think, one of the stewards and one of the club officials stood watching from the tunnel. And you just see Salah zip past with the ball, a couple of Arsenal defenders in his wake, just with no hope of catching him, and then like another 10-15 players. Well, it's like wacky races, all as one, just like going after him. It's like some kind of Ealing comedy. It's like sort of Roadrunner versus Wile E. Coyote. It's kind of one man with just everyone chasing him. It's like Benny Hill. Someone's actually taken the video and put it to Benny Hill theme tune. and as I say, it's only this tiny bit of a pitch you see. So you just see him go past, vanishes, 2 defenders vanish, everyone else, they vanish, and then suddenly the crowd on the other side of the pitch just jump up. The steward and the club official in the tunnel jump up and start celebrating. And it's just a fantastic video. It's such a unique angle to see a goal from. You can't see the goal at all. You can just see the responses to it. And the responses of, the entire Arsenal team as I think, oh, shit. It's like catch the pigeon. You know what I mean? They had no hope. And you just realise how fast he is, how he leaves from trailing in his wake. It's amazing.
The Plastic Scousers recommend to you YouTube videos of not goals you can't see.
Yeah, this is like when we tried to play Spot the Ball, isn't it?
Yeah, we did. We did try to play Spot the Ball. That only ended in tears and a lawsuit. And as I say, after that, it was pretty much no hope for Arsenal. I mean, every time we went forward, we looked like we were going to score again. Didn't quite do it until sort of 15 minutes for the end when Danny Sturridge gets himself on the score sheet for the first time this season, having just come on.
Yeah, and that kind of injury picked up against Bayern Munich didn't turn out to be massively serious. So he's back in goal scoring form. And there's nothing that kind of really caps a successful day as a Liverpool fan than watching Daniel Sturridge score. It's come to be such a rare occurrance. And there's always so much baggage with Daniel Sturridge in terms of his injuries and all. But to see him score, and it's nearly always like the last goal of the game, it really does put the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's really kind of like, this is going so well. Daniel Sturridge is playing and is fit and is scored and hasn't had to be stretchered off immediately afterwards.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a great ball, by the way, from Mohammad Salah, who somehow still has some energy left. Whips it in, right at the far post. Defender's nowhere. Daniel Sturridge, great little header. Boom. 4-0. Game over. Mic drop. See you next time.
Yeah. If there is a next time for Arsene Wenger.
And the month ends. Well, it doesn't quite end, but in terms of our matches, 4 wins and a draw. I mean, Watford aside, we're very disappointing, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, still unbeaten. Long may our unbeaten reign continue.
Absolutely, and back in the Champions League more than anything else.
Yeah, so that was August.
It was, but there's a few more ins and outs to discuss, or lack thereof, in fact, Owen. We've just played Arsenal, of course. We've just battered them 4-0. So, just to rub salt in the wound, should we take one of their players as well?
Yeah, let's take, I don't know, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Oh, no, wait, hang on. He's agreed terms with Chelsea.
Yeah, this was fun, because we couldn't get hold of him, because Chelsea had wanted him. But he didn't want Chelsea.
No. Chelsea and Arsenal agreed a deal, but Chelsea and Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't. And me having told a lot of my Chelsea supporting mates with a sort of begrudging acceptance, but kind of, fair play, you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, and they reacting with delight. A couple of days later, he told them where they could go. in the immortal words of the Liverpool supporting Elvis Costello, I don't want to go to Chelsea.
There we go. And in fact, it was just nice. Do you know what? I mean, we signed him for quite a lot of money, but he is only still 24, getting into the prime of his career. Hopefully under Klopp he can develop a bit more, find himself a role in the team, whether that be centrally or out wide. That is the question. I feel a little bit like Gini Wijnaldum last year. There is a question of where exactly he's supposed to be able to fit into the side.
Yeah. I mean, the irony is I'm not sure we needed him. I was quite glad, again, to stop Chelsea getting him. But, where he was supposed to go, I couldn't quite tell you. I do enjoy the fact that out of the 4 signings we've made by this point this season, 3 of them had all kind of stuck 2 fingers up to Chelsea.
Well, it's funny because Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain joins a player who Chelsea stole from under our noses a few years ago, and now look what's happened. Yeah,
and what a player he's turning out to be.
But that's not the only source of income in terms of players. Well, maybe for this season anyway. Owen, would you like to explain the saga involving a certain team sponsored by Red Bull?
Naby Keita, who we made quite clear early on in the transfer window we wanted. Leipzig made quite clear early on in the transfer window they weren't going to sell. We made a succession of big money bids that would have absolutely destroyed our transfer record. And they kept saying, no, you're not listening to me. We're not going to sell. And we kept saying, no, you're not listening to him. £90 million. It was a bit like that Alan Partridge bit where he's trying to offer Lynn a pay rise. And he's trying to see how little he can get away with while making it sound really, really good. And kind of kept going and going, and everyone thought it was sort of just a matter of time. And then we're like, it'll be finished by the end of this week. And then it wasn't. And then we're like, it'll be done by the end of next week. And then it wasn't. And eventually I think people just accepted, actually, this is just not happening. Brilliant. Well done. This just looks rubbish. And then everyone had sort of given up, and out of nowhere, on Bank Holiday Monday, it was just announced that we agreed a deal to sign him.
Yeah.
It did just come out of the blue, didn't it?
Yeah, it's so how the deal went down was the fact that he had a release clause that would be activated next season, the end of the current season, out of like 48 million, which is about 2/3 of what we were offering them. And so after the problem was Red Bull Leipzig wanted to kind of protect their asset and knew that ultimately he was going to go next season for that amount of money. There was nothing they could do. So what Liverpool kind of thought was, okay, we won't buy him this season. What we'll do is we'll come up with a contract now for next season. We'll activate that clause the day that it comes open, and we'll give you a sum on top of that to guarantee first option next year. And no one knows what that fee is. It's been estimated at around 10 million on top of the 48 already. So for around £58 million, we've guaranteed signing him for 2018-19. And there's also rumour, although obviously rumour is very difficult to trust, that if we were to pay another premium of some more money, we could even get him in January, depending, of course, on how Red Bull are doing in the Champions League and League as well. So either way, it looks like Klopp's got his man.
Yeah. I'd not heard that about January, actually. That's quite surprising. Do we reckon there's any truth to that rumour?
Well, who knows what's real and what's not anymore.
Yeah. Well, one thing that turned out to definitely not be real was imminent reports of a certain signing from Southampton. Tell us more about that.
Now, this was as if we needed one saga. If that was a saga, this was a saga cruise. We much like pretty much half the top clubs in the Premier League were after Southampton's Virgil van Dijk, who had proven himself to be one of the most accomplished and all well-rounded centre-backs in the league last season. He wanted to go. He wants to grow his ambition. Didn't make too much of a fuss at first, as we came in with a bid, which I believe was probably going to be accepted, or there was certainly talk that it might have been. I know that personal terms have been agreed with Virgil van Dijk, and Virgil van Dijk wanted to come to us. And the reason that this has all happened is because Jurgen Klopp had a secret meeting with Virgil van Dijk, and Southampton had found out and were going to report us. So we had to very quietly backtrack and say, okay, we're not taking away our interest. Please don't report us because we're going to get banned from doing any more transfers. I'm going to explain this in just a sec, but this really annoyed me because this happens all the time with every club, right? But somehow we're the ones who get caught doing it, right? That seems like an outrage, and I don't know who I should point my anger at, but I'm just pointing it at the podcast because it's the only thing I have to outlet my anger.
I mean, I would point it at whoever it was from our club who leaked to the press exactly what was going on. We need to kind of be doing transfer business behind closed doors if we want to have any hope of getting anywhere with it. It's no surprise that perhaps the best bit of business we did all summer, nobody saw coming because nobody knew it was happening, which was a Cater deal. We should be doing all our business like that, and we shouldn't know about a signing until they're announced.
Yeah, I mean,
I know that's easier said than done in this modern way of doing things, but yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Anyway, so we disappear from the equation. Virgil van Dijk. A couple of weeks go by through the summer because this is quite early on in the summer by this stage. A couple of weeks go by, and then next thing we hear is that Virgil van Dijk's put in a transfer request at Southampton and made it public. He's actually put a public letter out to the Southampton fans, to fans in Holland, to anyone really who follows him, basically saying that he's disappointed the way he's been treated. He's disappointed that the lies have been told in the press, the lack of professionalism that apparently he showed, which he's completely denied, and the fact he just, he wanted to leave Southampton and get out. And so that re-sparked the rumour mill, not just at Liverpool, but at, clubs like Chelsea and Arsenal were both reportedly interested in him. I think Chelsea were even ready to make a bid, but Southampton just wouldn't sell.
No, they kind of just did what Leipzig did. Except they held firm till the end, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was no their contract's protected. He signed a new contract mid last year, so they've got absolutely no reason to sell him. And it just shows kind of these two instances show how player power, which is a thing that was talked about a lot over the several years of players doing what they want. Look at Diego Costa, for example, and certainly years back, that with all the money that's now in the Premier League, that just seems to be slowly eking its way out of the game a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think release clauses are becoming a more common occurrence in contracts, but I mean the Emre Can contract situation, which is still unresolved at the end of the summer, is because he wants a release clause and Liverpool don't want to give him one. I mean, we saw in Spain that Neymar left Barcelona and they tried to sue him for leaving, which was unsuccessful, but then Barcelona are pathetic these days, really, which brings us on to our third transfer saga of the summer. And again, on the subject of player power not being what it was. And this is one that kind of was on the came up on the rails without anyone really noticing. It was all a kind of rumour that wasn't really true, and I was like, no, well, of course, people would say Coutinho to Barcelona, he's our best player, that's what Barcelona do, and it was never really kind of taken seriously. And then all of a sudden Barcelona made a bid, and suddenly it was all hands on deck because something was happening, and we weren't quite prepared for the level of attention it got.
Well, I think it was almost to be expected, to be fair.
Yeah, but the kind of official line had always been Coutinho has always had his heart set on a move to Barcelona, but he's not going to agitate for a move, and if Liverpool don't want to sell him, fair enough. And Barcelona actually made a proper bid of about £90 million, I think, and Liverpool just said, no, he's not for sale. Basically, what happened in Leipzig, what happened in Southampton was now happening in Liverpool, which was, increasingly revised offers came in, and we increasingly said, no, we're not selling. Goodbye. And the owners even kind of got more involved than they have in a while, and put out an official statement saying Coutinho is not for sale at any price. And you're like, good, that's settled then. We can all move on. It's just Barcelona flashing their cash around trying to show off. And then that afternoon, the news quite devastatingly broke that Philippe Coutinho has handed in a transfer request. And then it all kind of got a bit more unstable because it actually transpired that Philippe Coutinho, who I don't think is a bad person, I think he's just an idiot, and I think he's being advised by some really bad people who don't have his or Liverpool's or even Barcelona's best interests at heart. Philippe Coutinho basically turned into a really stroppy kid, and his people kept telling Barcelona's people to come and make another bid. Barcelona kept putting out statements like, "Oh, Philippe Coutinho wants to come to Liverpool. Why aren't you letting him? Wants to come to Barcelona? Sorry." The Spanish press were all saying it was basically, a done deal, and it was all kind of very public and undignified and awful. And yeah, what happened next?
We said no, and Barcelona gave us, I think, 2 more bids in the end. I think it was a total of 3. The latest and most, I think, added up to about £120 million or something ridiculous, like money that without the Neymar deal just would never have been possible. And we just said no. And Coutinho continued to proclaim he was injured in a joke that sadly died when I told it about an hour ago. But before then flying out to Brazil and scoring a wonder goal. But yeah, he didn't go anywhere. And what I think the biggest worry for both of us certainly was that we were going to get stuffed selling a player and not, when we've been conned by 2 other teams into not letting them have theirs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And also when we didn't have time to replace him. But yeah, it was kind of... I was really disappointed with the way Philippe Coutinho handled things.
It's not him though, is it? No, it's not him. It's his agent.
It's not him, but It's just he's kind of perfect representative of modern footballer, just kind of suggestible, gullible moron, basically. I think the first signal was when he pulled out of a friendly in Dublin saying he had a bad back, and then we didn't see him for the rest of August. That's a very bad back. And it's a bad back that only seems to, that bad, I can't remember what it's called. There's a particular medical condition that only affects you when you're in a city in the north of England. When you're in like a kind of, say South America, you're fine. It's a very localised condition. I think it's called bullshit. So yeah, lost a bit of respect for little Phil, I did.
Yeah. Well, either way, he is still in our club and will be at least until January, and most likely at least until the end of the season. So hopefully that will settle itself down, and we'll all move on. Hopefully a bit more success. And just before we move on from transfers, because all the incomings have now been signed off, a few more went out. The only major last signing was the Mamadou Sakho affair has finally been closed as he makes a permanent deal to Crystal Palace.
Yes, well, he can look forward to a hopefully, because I do like Sakho, a hopefully successful career working, a long and successful career working with Frank de Boer.
Absolutely.
Who I think will really bring the best out of Sakho, and I think they've got a long and happy future together.
Great. And yeah, sadly that whole embarrassment thing has just come to an end, and we can now move on. A few loanees that went out, just pick them up. Shea Ojo went to Fulham for a year. Hopefully he'll do well there. We've got Jordan Williams. Thank God he's leaving again, only on loan, sadly, to Rochdale. Tony Gomez to Forest Green Rovers. Not really seen much of him. Alan, who I put in the same brackets, Taiwo Awoniyi. He's gone to Apollon Limassol in Cyprus. Nice bit of sunshine there. But the two main ones, firstly, Owen, like your thoughts on Divock Origi, who was let go to Wolfsburg for the season.
This is, again, quite a tidy bit of business for us, because we're getting something we don't get very often, which is a fee for a loan. I think last time we got one, we got like £1 million from Aston Villa for Thiago Ilori, and he didn't play, so it was kind of easy money for us. From a footballing point of view, I think, as we discussed, Origi has slipped down the pecking order a bit. It's hard to see who he's going to dislodge to get regular game time. He would kind of be relying upon another injury crisis, like we seem to always have, so not that unlikely. But, it's whether he can afford to wait 3 months for a proper run in the first team, and what good would that do his career and his development. So from his point of view, I think it's good that he's gone somewhere where he can get regular game time as one of the kind of first choice players. He will hopefully come back to us a more confident and a more competent player as a result of playing regularly at a high level. It's a good club. It's a very strong league. And from a business point of view, we're getting £6 million. Wolfsburg are paying all of his wages, and there's no option to buy him at the end. It is strictly a year-long loan. It's a great bit of business. Yeah. So, and I hope it really does suit Divock Origi, and he comes back a better player.
Yeah, and good luck to him. And as you say, it shows you the impact that Dominic Solanke's had, that he immediately has come in and usurped him in the pecking order. So,
yeah, well, exactly. And the other one then was young Ryan Kent going to Freiburg.
Now this Ryan Kent, a player who was on loan at Barnsley last year, and whilst not being a world beater, had a decent loan. Sort of came back in pre-season and really impressed everybody with his sort of direct play, his quality delivery, his guy for a pass, his ability to get back and defend into shape. And we were all like, the loan system's done him really well. Maybe he'll have a chance to run at the squad. The only problem is he's just got so much talent in front of him to dislodge it. It just was never really going to happen. But he's got himself a loan to a decent Bundesliga outfit, and fair play to him. I really hope it works out for him, and he can come back to us an even better player.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit disappointed to see him go, actually, because I think he really could have pushed on and made it into the first team. But again, and the same with Divock Origi, it's hard to see who was going to have to be out the side for him to come in. And yeah, maybe it is best he gets one more season under his belt at a high level before becoming. I really hope he can carry on with trajectories on at the moment, because he's going to be a fantastic player, and he's kind of overtaken Shea Ojo as our new kind of exciting young winger. He's probably, coming up to being, in attacking terms, the best young prospect we've got, or second best behind Ben Woodburn. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with him.
Absolutely. Yeah, and good luck to him. And that's it. That was the clear out of our squad, of sorts. I mean, there's a few unusual players hanging around the side. Adam Bogdan's still here. Lazar Markovic is still here. John Flanagan is still here. Who else? There's a couple of others, I think. Lloyd
Jones is still there. Many thought he would kind of move on this summer. Although I hope we'll one day see him and, in a 51 shirt for Liverpool properly. Yeah, other than that, I mean, there's a fair bit of what you might call deadwood still hanging around, isn't there, with like Markovic and Bogdan and Flanagan, but I mean, it's mainly Bogdan and Markovic, because we're going to need Flanagan at this rate. So yeah, that's the month of August done, Owen. So let's move on to we decided we're going to do an annual feature again, because we did the A to Z last year, and I thought that was very successful, very interesting. And we wanted to do something similar this year, but maybe change things up a little bit, change the formula slightly. Maybe a little bit, make it more fun, a bit sillier. But still trying to learn things. So what we've decided to do, in order to celebrate the Premier League, which is 25 years old this year, a quarter of a century, and we thought, let's celebrate it in the only way the Plastic Scousers know how, and put together our one of our favourite 11s, I guess you could call it, each month, picking a different position and finding a player through the Premier League era to put there. But maybe not necessarily the best player we've ever had. In fact, you might consider it to be one of the worst, one of the least effective, or as we like to call it, the despicable 11. Yes. So it's almost the opposite of the greatest alphabet from last year. We are looking for, we're not concerned strictly with stats, with, most chances missed or anything like that, or, most sendings off. Just players who are despicable. Yep, in some way or other. One reason, many reasons, a great / terrible reason. So we're going to start at the back. Yeah, we're going to start at number 1. We'll go through the numbers in shirt order, 1 through 11. We've got a little table that we're going to put together. But obviously number 1, of course, is in goal. Let's throw some names into the ring. 25 years of Premier League history, Owen. Let's throw some names in. One of the kind of most mocked, much maligned players or goalkeepers for us in the Premier League would be David James, or Calamity James, as he became known. There were so many. It was a long time ago now, and we've had so many kind of dodgy keepers since then that he almost seems one of the better ones. But there were so many clangers, so many howlers. He almost made Adam Bogdan look professional at times. There was one very memorable occasion where he kept dropping crosses. I think it was in a Merseyside derby, because he later claimed he was really tired because he'd stayed up all night playing his PlayStation. A man after my own heart. Well, yeah, I can empathise with that, but maybe if you're playing in goal as number 1 for Liverpool, you should actually take it a tad more seriously. He would probably be my first choice, although there's another one that springs to mind, but I'm not certain he ever actually played for us in the Premier League. Who's that? Charles Atangi. But we're not allowed to talk about him. No, which is a shame. However, there are a few other goalkeepers that did play in the Premier League. Patrice Luzi had one cameo appearance in which he came on as a substitute against Chelsea. And again, we won 1-0. Oh, he was great. Thanks to kept a clean sheet. He did. Thanks to one of the only 3 players to have 3 goalkeepers to have never conceded a goal for Liverpool in their entire history. Yeah. However, he wasn't because he was underneath both Rayner and Dudek, I believe, at the time. Maybe wrong. I know he was third choice.
at this stage and was suddenly the only goalkeeper fit. However, he was so...
No, it was Dudek and Kirkland. It was that long ago.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, Dudek and Kirkland. Unfortunately, he wasn't really trusted to be our number one, and we ended up signing 38-year-old Paul Jones from Southampton on an emergency loan.
Which is just amazing. I still love that we bought Paul Jones, who was a childhood Liverpool fan, when he was well into his 30s, when he was basically at the end of his career. And he was kind of one of those goalkeepers who's kind of good. Like, he's a solid keeper, and he's never kind of been world class. But you always think, a bit like, I don't know, someone like Jussi Jyskalainen. Or Antti Niemi. Do you remember him? He used to play for Southampton.
I do.
Do you think actually they're kind of really good keepers and they deserve maybe a bit more of a... And he finally got a kind of big transfer to a big team for 3 games at the end of his 30s. It was I really liked that story.
He's still technically the oldest player ever to make his Liverpool debut.
Is he?
Yeah.
What, in the Premier League era or ever?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
There you go.
There we go. That's quite something.
So yeah, but it just shows you how little trust the manager had in Patrice Luzi. It's strange how because we signed him from a French second tier side where he'd only played once. I mean, the whole thing with Patrice Luzi is just a bit baffling to me, to be honest with you. I mean, he's got an amazing record, but even afterwards his history was appalling, and no one even knows where he's gone now. So
I think he's just kind of dropped off the map entirely, hasn't he? He's not even. He's completely untraceable. A bit like Peggy Arfexad, who didn't we find out was making detective dramas in Guadeloupe?
Oh no, it's much better than that. No, sir. He wasn't a bad keeper for us. He came in a few games, both in the league and cup. It wasn't terrible. He only ever made just over 50 appearances in his entire career, though. So I mean, this is a little bit about where his situation lied. No, he's from Guadeloupe, which is a sort of French Polynesian sort of, I don't know how you describe it really, like a little semi-independent republic. But he was rumoured to be doing porn.
That was it, yeah. Did we ever find out if that was true or not?
It's absolutely not true. No. It started. So the story goes. It started from who's the Leicester player? Is it Mickey something? Oh God, I can't remember his name. Muzzy Izzet, that's it. Muzzy Izzet wrote a book in which he talked about how when FX went to the loo, he had to pick it up afterwards. And I think someone on the internet basically caught on to this, and then very quickly a bit of funny rumours started spreading that he was doing porn in Guadeloupe, and his nickname was the Stopper.
Jesus Christ.
It's an amazing story, and unfortunately this is almost why I think he's despicable, because he completely broke this rumour by coming out on an interview that some Leicester local paper did, and he went, no, this is a bad rumour, this never happened, I work in sports insurance. It's like, dude, come on, have a joke. But yeah,
it's the kind of thing you'd kind of encourage anyway, do you know what I mean? You'd play along with it.
So yeah.
Well, what about then one other despicable goalkeeper I can think of from Premier League era? A bit like Patrice Luzi and Peggy Arfexad. Played very few games for us. Daniel Padelli.
He only played one game in the league, I believe.
Do you remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Rafa Benitez signed him in January of 2007 for the rest of the season on loan, with the option to make it permanent if we were really impressed by him. And I can only imagine that we weren't really impressed by him, because he didn't actually get on the pitch for another 5 months after that. He played in the last game of the season against Charlton Athletic, when I think the only reason he got a game then was because Pepe Reina was rested with one eye on the upcoming Champions League final in Athens. And having waited 5 months to make his debut, he was pretty crap. He let 2 goals in against Charlton in what was Robbie Fowler's last game for the club. And yeah, it was just, he kind of came out of nowhere on loan for no reason at all, and then didn't play, and then did, and was rubbish, and then went back again. And now, you know where he is now?
No.
Have a guess.
Is he in Italy somewhere?
He is in Italy somewhere.
I don't... Torino. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. He's just left Torino.
Oh.
He's joined Inter Milan.
Really?
Yeah, he's now at Inter Milan.
Bloody hell.
But yeah, he was at Torino for 4 years, but he lost his place to Joe Hart.
That's why I thought of Torino, I guess. Just goalkeepers in Torino. I don't know. Either way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, just a further the case that he should be our despicable goalkeeper, you've got to be pretty rubbish to lose your place to Joe Hart.
That is bad. Oh, boy. Oh, I don't know who I feel worse for, really.
If you're a goalkeeper and someone looks at you and says, you're okay, but Joe Hart's over there, I think we'll go with him. You've got to ask yourself what you're doing.
Yeah, on current form anyway. Another one I'd like to throw in, by the way, is someone who we've just talked about being still at Liverpool. Adam Bogdan has to be very considered, and I have one great stat from him. He is the only Liverpool goalkeeper in history to have conceded from a corner twice.
Yes. I mean, one of those wasn't in the Premier League, in fairness to him.
No.
It was against... but not that makes it any better. It was against the League Two side. Bloody Exeter.
Well, he is the,
that's a very good shout.
I think he is the only goalkeeper to have conceded from a corner in the Premier League for Liverpool. I would be comfortable vouching for that.
Once is careless, twice is unforgivable.
And it's the fact he's still here that almost just makes me annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't annoy me so much as I feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest. Like, he's not going to get anywhere near the first team this year. He could have just kind of bought himself out of his contract in the summer and gone and restarted his career in the Championship somewhere. But yeah, well, there he is. You make your own luck. I mean, there's a lot of goalkeepers who would be worthy of mentioning this, were it not for the fact that they never actually managed to play for us. People like Jorgen Nielsen, Michael Stensgaard, both of whom signed from Denmark as the next big thing, got freak injuries. I think it was Jorgen Nielsen dislocated his shoulder while getting his ironing board out his cupboard. And yeah, the next big thing just never recovered really, and so never made a first team appearance at Liverpool. So we can't consider them, but I think it's worth pointing out.
Yeah,
what about Donny?
I mean,
would that be unfair?
No, Donny's a bit of a sad story, isn't it? Really, but there are sort of some moments that weren't his highest. I mean, only playing 4 games for the club and getting sent off in one of them isn't exactly a great record.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the fact that he got sent off; it's the fact that the game before, or 2 games before, Pepe Reina got sent off. 3 games before an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley Stadium. And so Donny, all he had to do was kind of keep his nose clean, and having not played all season, like not even in the cup games, because Dalglish liked to play Reina in the cup as well. Having not played all season, he was in line to play for Liverpool at Wembley in an FA Cup semi-final, and he bloody got himself sent off against Blackburn, which meant he was suspended for that, and as was Reina. So Brad Jones ended up coming in and making his first appearance in about 2.5 years at Wembley Stadium, which is a brilliant story for Brad Jones. And Brad Jones became the first Liverpool player to make his first 4 appearances for the club in 4 different competitions.
Yes, a stat that you have mentioned on more than one occasion.
Yeah, and actually that incident rescued Brad Jones's career, because he suddenly became our number 2 goalkeeper, and the next season he played about 12 games for us. So really, that was the best thing that could have happened for Brad Jones, but it was bloody stupid for Donny's sake.
First, I do like what happened to the fact that he couldn't get on, because obviously he made all the subs. Even when Reina got sent off against Newcastle in that game, he couldn't get on, and so he was technically usurped by Jose Enrique.
And again, if people are preferring to play Jose Enrique in goal ahead of you, you've got some questions to answer.
I know. So, but yeah, basically what happened is, but after that sending off, he never appeared for Liverpool again, because he had arrhythmia, which is like a sort of heart condition, and
Well, he played in the last game of the season. Actually, he played in the last game of the season against Swansea, but then he vanished in pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah, because apparently during that time at Melwood, he suffered a cardiac arrest. And I think he said he was dead for 25 seconds, and it's terrifying, really.
Yeah, he did a bit of a Fabrice Muamba, didn't he?
I mean, that's not really an expression I'd like to coin, ideally.
No, I mean that in that. That sounded insensitive. As in, Fabrice Muamba was like on the other side for about 10 seconds, wasn't he?
And so the doctors told Donny, you can't play football for months, and basically ever again. I mean, he ended up having to go back to Brazil, and he played for a team in the 4th tier there for a little bit, but very shortly after retired, and it's just really sad.
Yeah, it was. Particularly because he just vanished and nobody knew what was going on, and it was quite a bit of a running joke, I guess. And yeah, and then it turned out that he nearly died, and it suddenly wasn't that funny anymore. No,
I mean, it would have been nice for someone to have known, but I guess whatever the choice of the family is, we can't really judge. But yeah, no, Donny had this funny thing. Just on the subject, actually, you just mentioned Brad Jones, who's my final throw of the dice here, just because I think I know. By the way, I like before as an aside, and he obviously had some trouble at Liverpool when his child got cancer, and that whole story was horrendously sad. But I'm going to talk about him purely from a footballing perspective. So I'd just like to make that clear first and foremost. I think he's one of Liverpool's luckiest ever players, in many ways. Third choice goalkeeper until 2 sendings off in front of you. I don't know the last time that's ever happened for a third choice goalkeeper. 2 sendings off, not 2 injuries. Different thing. He very nearly, by the way, don't forget Brad Jones, in that game against Blackburn that he came on for Donny, he almost got himself sent off as well.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
He was very lucky to stay on the pitch. He was one other thing that makes me think he's a lucky player is because he was actually number 1 under Brendan Rodgers for a while, right? Because he decided to drop Mignolet, who hadn't been playing very well, and then realised what he got instead. He's a nice guy, Brad, but he was never ever nearly good enough to be Liverpool's number 1.
He wasn't, and it kind of... That's why Mignolet was so poor, was because he didn't have any challenge behind him for the number 1 jersey.
No.
We saw that eventually happen with Pepe Reina as well, and that we had a succession of underwhelming, unimpressive deputies like Charles Atangi, like Donny, like Diego Cavalieri, who probably also warrants a mention in this. And they just kind of got complacent, and Rodgers tried to kind of make the point that actually you're still not undroppable, but then Brad Jones kind of proved the point that he sort of was undroppable.
I mean, yeah.
Although I think he did a better job for us than some of the others we mentioned.
True, although
tonight.
to contradict you on that, I'm afraid to say, he has the worst record statistically. I know we won't talk about stats much, but this was important. The worst stats of any Liverpool goalkeeper in the Premier League era, which isn't great.
Really?
Yep, he conceded 1.45 goals per game, more than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League era for Liverpool.
Well, except Daniel Padelli, who conceded 2 goals per game.
That is very true, but I don't know if that's being considered in... That wasn't considered in the stats I found. Maybe 1 game isn't really enough to create a statistic.
I imagine, yeah, it does skew the statistics slightly if you include players who only play 1 game. But I do think that... I mean, we've got to make a decision on this.
We have.
We've got to inaugurate our team, and I'm leaning towards Daniel Padelli, because I think if we're talking stats, he's far worse than Brad Jones, and actually if we're talking not stats, to wait 5 months for your debut, and then put in a shock against Charlton Athletic, and then go on to be a worse goalkeeper than Joe Hart, I don't think it gets much more despicable than that.
Possibly, although the Peggy Afiak said thing, not for his goalkeeping, but just for being such a sport. It's such a good story, and you had to ruin it by being miserable. And also the Adam Bogdan conceding from a corner twice thing. I think they're both very, very amusing things.
Yeah, Adam Bogdan, you've probably got more of a point on. I mean, Peggy Arfex had one 6 winners' medals with Liverpool. You can't argue with.
No.
Can't argue with a
Opposite.
record like that.
I'm completely the opposite. That makes it worse. That's despicable. How can he win 6 Liverpool winners' medals doing no work?
Yeah,
He didn't play in any of those. He didn't. My point, right? If this was a benefits grounder who's getting all the benefits, people would be complaining about that, right? If he's not doing any work and he's winning medals, like, I want to win a medal. I didn't play in that final either. I want to win. You can see my point, right? As a joke. If you stop taking this quite so seriously, you'll see my point.
Yeah, I do see your point.
I'm not going to argue. I just think it's very funny, to be honest.
No, I see where you're coming from. He's taking a piss a bit.
But I do agree. Papadeli he only played one game. He was not as good as Patrick Lucy's one game.
He was far worse than Patrick Lucy's. Maybe when we should go down the middle, because maybe it's unfair to call someone who only played one game despicable. Maybe what we're really looking for is a proven record of failure. And as we say, to concede once from a corner is careless. Twice is unforgivable. And the fact he's still there.
Yeah.
I quite like the fact that we would start off with a player who's still on the books of the club and might yet play again for them.
In a parallel universe.
In a kind of nostalgic look back feature, I quite like the idea that our first player might be a current member of the squad.
Good. Adam Bogdan. Well, you are our number 1.
Well done. Well, you are the most despicable Premier League keeper we've had in the last 25 years.
Yeah, congratulations. And so, yes, well, Adam Bogdan, welcome to the squad. Your name will appear on our goalkeeping jersey for the whole of the season. Next week, we focus on the number 2, which traditionally is the right back. So, Owen, get your thinking caps on there.
Oh, I can think of a few already.
There we go. And now I mentioned before that I've got a little surprise game for Owen. Now, usually when these things happen, Owen usually ends up getting embarrassed, feeling like an idiot, or generally confused as to what's going on. But I thought it's the start of the season, much like first week at school, just sort of warming back into things, getting yourself back in gear after a nice long break. I just thought, let's play a silly little game. So this, Owen, is the real or fake footballer name quiz.
Okay, bring it.
This is a very simple game, Owen. I'm going to give you the name of the player. I've got 20 players on a list here. All you have to do is tell me whether it's real or fake. Very simple, right, Owen?
Sounds simple enough.
No, there's no tricks, nothing like that. There's no surprises. Just a bit of fun. So no worries if you don't get it right or whatever. It's just a bit of fun. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. At any point, by the way, if you aren't sure, I can give you a clue. I've got some information on each of the players, but I'm just going to give you the name, and all you have to do is tell me if they're real or fake. All right, here we go. Number 1, Danny Invincible.
That's real.
That is real. He's a striker from Australia who spent time at places including Swindon, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, and is still playing for, this is great, for the Army United team in Thailand.
Oh, the big hitters they are.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that is the team that are supported by the army. That is not a joke. Okay, number 2, Norman Conquest.
I want that to be true, but I think that's fake.
That is true.
Is it?
He is an Australian goalkeeper from the 1940s who played in various teams in New South Wales.
That's excellent.
Isn't it good, right? Number 3.
I take my hat off to Mr. and Mrs. Conquest.
There we go. Beautiful stuff. Number 3, Willie Stroker.
Willie Stroker, definitely fake.
That is definitely fake. He's actually a dressage judge, and it's a very funny meme that goes around the internet and has done for a long time. The interesting thing about this is, if we wanted clues, I've actually written interesting details that I made up for the player. So, if you'd like to hear what I made up for that, you can have that.
Yeah, let me hear it.
I was going to say he was a 1950s English goalkeeper. Fairly simple, but Number 4, Ralph Minge.
Minge. Can I have a clue for this one?
I can tell you that he is a German.
I know there was a German footballer called Stefan Kuntz. So I'm going to say that one's true.
That is very much true. He was a striker playing in the 1980s, whose main club was Dynamo Dresden and also the East German national team. Number 5, anal cock.
Can I have a clue for that one, please?
I can tell you that he plays either right or left wing.
Against my better judgment, I'll say anal cock is false.
It's true. He is a Turkish player who was around only a few years ago, who played for clubs like Standard Liège and Antalyaspor. And
How do you spell his name?
ANIL space KOC. It's anal
That's
cock,
incredible,
isn't it?
Anal
In fact, he was at one point signed by Charlton, but never managed to get a game.
I know that feeling.
And if you're listening and you happen to be manager of a club and you need some anal cock, he is still playing but currently without a club. So there we go.
He's That's incredible. That's made my night. That is.
Wait, yeah, there's plenty more to come. Number 6, Aaron Hardy-Ha.
Hardy-Ha.
Aaron Hardy-Ha.
Fake.
Absolutely fake. Yes, I made that one up. He is not, sadly, a New Zealand attacking midfielder from the 90s. Number 7.
Not yet.
No. Number 7. Felix Brilliant.
Oh, I reckon that's true.
It is true. Yes, he's a centre midfield from Canada, sort of around in the 2000s. Played for a few American and Canadian teams, including Montreal Impact, New England Revolution, and Sparta Sarpsborg. I don't know where they're from. Actually, I probably should have looked that up. Okay, number 8, Mark de Man.
Mark de Man. True.
It is true. It is. He's a centre-back or defensive midfielder from Belgium, who is actually part of the Belgian national side.
Is he?
Yeah, well, has been in the past, in and out. Currently playing for Roda JC. Also played for Anderlecht for a while. So, there you go.
We could do with him in our defence.
We could, absolutely right. Have you been keeping score, by the way? Because I haven't. I think you've got all but one right so far.
Yeah, yeah.
I
think I've got anal cock wrong.
Sorry. Number 9, Brian Penis.
Fake.
True. He's actually true. He's a left winger.
Who does Brian Penis play?
Brian Penis is a Dutch winger who played through the 90s and 2000s for clubs including Feyenoord Groningen, NAC Breda, and in fact spent some time at Newcastle but never got a game.
Brian Penis. How do you spell his name? Like penis?
No, Pinas.
Yeah, that's penis.
Yeah,
That is
penis.
That is penis.
I'd just like to say I'm not pronouncing any of these wrong at all. Like I think that's only. Am I only being fair? It is anal cock and Brian Penis. It is.
No, I can't think how else you would pronounce that.
No. Number 10, Wang Lik Ho.
I think I remember him. I'm going to say true.
It's a lie. I made it up.
Well, that's worrying because I remember Wang Lik. I remember Wang Lik somebody.
How many weird nights out did you have recently?
Maybe I'm thinking of Dong Suk Ho.
Maybe. Yes, or Me Longcock. Anyway, no, he's not a South Korean right back. Number 11. Dick Sweat.
Dick Sweat or Dip Sweat?
Dick Sweat.
Dick Sweat. Can I have the clue for that one, please?
Yes, he played in the 1930s.
I think that's such a vague clue that's fake.
That is indeed fake. Although, interestingly enough, he is a US politician and was the ambassador to Denmark under the Clinton regime.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
that's quite fitting for what we know about Bill Clinton, really, isn't it?
Yeah, Dick Sweat, absolutely right. No, sadly not a Scottish right midfielder. Number 12, Bongo Christ.
Bongo Christ?
Yep.
True.
Absolutely true. It's possibly one of my favourite names ever. He was a striker who played for originally Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, through the 90s and 2000s. Played for Wilhelmshaven, Hanover 96 second team, and most recently, the last club was the Rock Soccer Club, which is a great name. Number 13, Hans Grosswiener.
Hans Grosswiener. Can I have a clue?
Yes, he's Austrian.
Fake.
Damn it, yes! I thought that was so convincing as well. Yes, I entirely made that up.
If a clue had been anything other than he's Austrian, I reckon I would have fallen for it. But...
he's not a centre-back from the 70s, sadly. Damn it.
If you said he's an Austrian centre-back from the 70s, I'd have believed you.
Well, okay, fine. I'll bear that in mind next time. Or will I?
Yeah.
Or will I?
Number 4. Or will he?
Number 14. Number 14. Andre Muff.
14. True.
Absolutely true. A Swiss striker from the 2000s who played at clubs including Basel,
Muff.
Grasshopper, and actually for the Swiss national side.
Grasshopper Muff.
Number 15. Naughty Naughty.
Naughty Naughty. Oh, man. Fake.
True.
Really?
In fact, he was part of Chelsea's academy until a few years ago, and then sort of fell into the lower leagues and has played for clubs including Welling, Wrexham, Solihull, and currently at Dover. He is an English Ghanaian descent and plays at centre-back or defensive midfield.
How the hell do you spell his name?
So it's Nortei, and then
Nortei.
And then Norte, and then Nortey.
Naughty Naughty.
Again, I've not said anything wrong. It is Naughty Naughty.
That is fair enough.
Number 16. Have a look, Dubé.
I think this is an African player. I think good like Jonathan. I'm going to say true.
Absolutely true. A Zimbabwean international player who played for Newbie Sundowns, and very little else is known about him, apparently. I literally couldn't find out what era he played or what position he played. All I know is he played for that club. So, there we go. So, we're learning something today. Number 17.
We are, yeah.
Number 17, Wayne Wanklin.
Wayne Wanklin. True.
It's very much true, yeah. He's an English central midfielder from the 80s, very famous Reading FC. Also played for Aldershot, and was until recently the manager of Wokingham and Embrook Football Club.
Oh, fair play to him. That can't be an easy job with a surname like that.
No, absolutely not. Number 18, we're nearly there, Owen. I hope you're enjoying some of this at least. Number 18.
I am.
Number 18, Mo Lester.
Oh, God, that took me a minute to realise what was wrong with that. It's like, Mo Lester? Who wouldn't want to be called Mo Lester?
Oh, come on, you can't, no.
Mo Lester. Fake.
That is fake, well done. However, I did find that I was looking at Googling funny names for some of these for this feature, and that guy generally did exist. So,
really?
There we go, guys.
Who was he?
I think it was just, I don't know, some American guy. It was on an obituary that somebody had taken a photo of and seen it and thought it was so funny. Okay, number 19, Credence Clearwater Couto.
Well, I know he's had a bit of a revival lately, but you know what, I'm going to say true for that. I reckon there was someone who was a massive fan of CCR but would have... Yeah, true.
You're absolutely right. He is a Brazilian striker from the 2000s. Played for various clubs, including Tombense, Sertagino, and Santa Cruz too. His parents were huge fans of Credence Clearwater Revival, and they named him like that. Baffling. And finally, number 20, ice cream.
Ice cream. Can I have the clue for this one, please?
Yes, he's a Nigerian central midfielder.
Fake.
True, but it's a trick question, so I'm going to give you the point anyway. It's a trick question because his actual name was Osa Gudabeja, but he insisted on having ice cream on the back of his shirt because he liked it. Played for clubs in Macedonia. Yes, absolutely true. I'm not making any of this up. Played in the 2000s and 2010s. Mainly, he won the Macedonian title twice for two different clubs. And still plays. I just retired from playing in Malta. Yes, that is ice cream. And that was your quiz, Owen. You did very, very well.
I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Matt. I will treasure the memories of learning about anal cock.
Absolutely right. And maybe you'll go and find some other ones because honestly there are so many others. This was just like I had to sift through a list.
I'm trying to think who my favourite. I think anal cock and Andre Muff were my favourites.
There's so many good ones. I'm gonna give you 4 stars out of 5 for that, Owen. You should be very proud.
Thank you. I'm very honoured and grateful.
So yeah,
and
that was your game.
And now it is my turn to throw a few questions at you, Matt.
Perfect.
Because it is the return of our quickfire predictor quiz, at which we make a few predictions for the season to come. Now that all the transfer window is closed, all the business has been done and it's all over by the shouting. We must look ahead and nail our colours to the mast and put our money where our mouth is and tell the listeners what we think the next 12 months are going to have in store. So I've got some very specific questions for you to answer, and to make sure that there's no rumination, no deliberation, no conferring. You're going to be on the clock to answer them. I just want your genuine, honest, and instinctive responses. Is that clear?
That's my sign for yes. Oh,
good. You're allowed to speak as well. It'll be hard if you don't answer with words.
That's fine. I just had to cough. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I had to cough.
That's okay. Blink twice for yes and once for no. Do you understand? This does not work on the radio. Are you ready, Matt? You've got 60 seconds.
Yeah, let's do it.
Liverpool FC 2017-18 season. I want to know, where are we going to finish in the league this season?
5th.
Who will be our top scorer?
Mane. Sadio Mane.
Mane. Where will we? How far will we get in the FA Cup this season?
We'll get to the semi-final.
Semi-finals. Who is going to prove to be our best signing?
Mohammad Salah.
How far will we get in the League Cup?
Not far. Out in the 4th round, 5th round, maybe? 4th round.
Fourth round. We'll go 4th round instead of 4th round. Who are we going to regret selling the most this season?
Mamadou Sakho.
Sakho. Oh, good shout. How far will we get in the Champions League?
It's round of 16.
Round of 16. Who will be our worst signing this season?
Aldi Robertson. Sorry, mate.
Who are we going to regret not selling?
Lazar Markovic.
And who will be our number 1 come May?
Mignolet.
Done.
Oh, that's quite stressful, that was very stressful. Oh. Okay, Owen, it's your turn. I've just done that, and now it's your turn. Are you ready? Are you clear? Your mind is free and ready to go?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Excellent. I'm going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go. Who will be our number 1 come May?
Mignolet.
Who will we regret not selling this season?
Alberto Moreno.
Who will be our worst signing?
Oxlade-Chamberlain. Sorry.
Where will we be in the Champions League this season?
Quarterfinals.
Who will we regret selling?
Lucas.
Where will we finish in the League Cup?
Third round.
Who will be our best signing?
Salah.
FA Cup, where do we finish?
Winners.
Who will be our top scorer at the end of the season?
Mane.
And where are we going to finish in the league?
Fourth.
Done. See, I threw it round, you see? I did the questions backwards. To get your brain thinking.
You did. It threw me.
It did. You see, I'm a smart cookie sometimes, you know. Only sometimes, occasionally. But there we go.
That's enough. And that is our predictions for the... I've just realised that you think we're going to finish 5th in the league this season. I didn't really... Because we were on the clock, I didn't really kind of take that in.
I do, I'm afraid, yeah.
You think we're going to have a really bad season, man.
I
5th in the league. No silverware at all.
Yeah, I'm convinced that we are going to have a problem maintaining 4 competitions unless we go out as early as I've predicted in the League Cup, which could easily happen.
Well, yeah, you might not be wrong.
And I don't know about our strength in depth, particularly at the back. We can't... I think there could easily be 4 better teams than us this season with how strong Man United look, with how strong City look. Chelsea aren't going away, and Spurs will be in and about as well. And I just don't know whether or not we've got enough.
Yeah, I think well, I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell.
I very much hope I'm wrong. What I'm not wrong about is it's the end of the podcast.
It is.
Yes.
And that is August. Thank you very much for listening. We will see you again at the end of September when we will have some proper Champions League football to report on, as well as our first involvement in the League Cup this season. And of course, the usual smattering of Premier League games and the other nonsense as well.
If you've enjoyed anything that you've heard over the last couple of hours, or indeed anything you might have watched in the past few months, you can follow us both directly on Twitter. I'm at MTH Simpson.
I'm at OGB Collins.
Or you can follow our Twitter account at Scousers as well, which always gets updated, doesn't it, Owen?
It does.
Absolutely. And we're also on YouTube. Go and find us on YouTube. That's where you'll find all our videos from our summer podcast. That is Simpson and Collins on YouTube.
There are some especially hilarious recent videos on our YouTube channel. I would urge you all to watch some of those.
Absolutely. And if you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, go and download that one. That was a good 4-hour session that we had, or any of the alarms from last year at all. Anyone you like. Take a pick and just listen to a random podcast. You heard the man. Make it happen. Absolutely. But until then, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. As I say, we'll be back at the end of September, beginning of October for more hilarity and fun. But until then, take it easy and look after each other. Yes. If you can't be good, well, then you've really got to question why not, and maybe try and improve.
Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league, we've won the cup, we've